All right. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to generate row and column means, descriptive statistics again, generate sparklines, and then create a bar chart. And that's all going to be explained in this video. We're going to use the table that we created in tutorial number 3, which is that related table of rubric and survey scores. And I'm going to show you how to use formulas to generate an average, a mean, to sort the table's values above and below the average, add sparklines to the table, and then generate a bar chart. And it'll be completely amazing. So prepare to be either over or underwhelmed, depending on your perspective. So let's go ahead and start. I've jumped over to our table that we generated in tutorial number 3. And we're looking at a column of student ID numbers. I'm going to retain the period column, and we have our rubric and survey items all neatly arranged into this table. Yours may look different because I'm going to talk about kurtosis. I talked about skew in one of the early videos, so I figured I'd go ahead and talk about kurtosis in this one and its relation to the normal distribution. Anyway, before I get to that, why don't we do some work that's necessary for this table? First of all, I'm going to click into this table and notice that I can sort this. I can sort this table from largest to smallest and from smallest to largest, and everything shifts with it. But I don't want to do any filtering right now. So I want to go up to data and I want to turn off the filter. And now what I want to do is I want to add a column, and I want to add that column right in front of rubric 1. And so I'm going to just right click, insert, table column to the left. If you don't see that or don't have access to a right click, which if you're on a Mac, I think that you should enable, because you can go right into here and select the column. You have to select the entire column. And you can go to insert and insert sheet columns. And if you click on it, it'll drop one in column right in front of it. And so for this one, I'm going to call this row average. And I want to get an average score for the items that are all the way across here. And so here's how to do that. It's done with a formula. And there are 1,000,001 formulas in Excel, but this is the only one that I'm going to be concerned with for this tutorial. And that's going to be the average formula. And average followed by a parentheses. That's how you do it. Average followed by a parentheses. And so what I'm going to do next is I need to select the cells that I want. And that's going to be everything from rubric 1 all the way over to single survey item 1. And because it's a table, I can just close the parentheses very easily. And I can see that I have grabbed everything from R1 all the way to single survey item 6, which is exactly what I want. And so this is going to give me an average, and it provides the average all the way down, which is also really handy. Now, another thing that I find useful here is this. If you just highlight up the column, as I have in fact done here, we can now decrease the decimals, because I only really want to have 2 decimal points showing. Any more than that is getting a little out of hand and crazy. And the next thing that I'd like to do is go ahead and put an average down here. But in order to do that, I have to add a row to this. So you saw how I added a column. Well, now what I want to do is highlight this row, and I want to insert a row. And unfortunately, the place that it puts the row is right above. So I need to highlight this column right here and move it up, or pardon me, I need to highlight this row rather, and I'm going to Control X or Command X or right click cut, and I'll go ahead and paste, and it'll paste the column right back in. But I still have the table row right here, and that's necessary. I have to have a blank row in this table in order for what I'm going to do next to work. So let me tell you what I'm going to do next. I want to calculate a column average, and I'll just put in here column average, and I will bump that over to this this side so that it's all the way over here. And I'm going to go ahead and take an average of all the averages. And I know that's a bit ridiculous. You know, averages on top of averages are silly, but in this case, what we're doing is just descriptive, you know, descriptions of the data numerically and visually is what we'll be doing in here. So even though it is a bit absurd, we can do that for our descriptive purposes. So I want to just highlight this top row, and I want to freeze it. So I'm going to go up to View, Freeze Panes, and I want to freeze the top row. And the reason for that is that I now can scroll easily through this, and it just makes things a little easier to work with. Also, you can reduce the size of the table too if you want to see everything on one page. But anyway, I digress. All right, so we're going to do column averages the same way that we did, or pardon me, column averages the same way I did row averages. I'm going to click on the equal sign, and I'm going to type in average and parentheses. And this time I want to take the average of the average scores for the rows. And I do that, and I get 5.31. Let me move this, let me highlight all these cells here, or you can even just highlight all the way across and click on center, because again, I like to have these things centered up. I think that's pretty useful. Now with this, let's see what this is. This says inconsistent calculated column formula, and I'll just ignore the error because it's done its job. It's averaging all the way from C all the way down to C30, and that's exactly what I want. Now, what I can do next is this. I can go on that cell for the row average, and instead of retyping this formula all the way across, I can simply I can just grab the corner of that cell, just like this, and I can drag all the way across and let it go, and it will create the averages for me. And I just want to eyeball to make sure that it's calculating everything on the D column from 2 to 30, on the E column and on the F column, and it's working. It's working just fine. And oh, we're all so happy about that. So I've got my column average and I got my row average, and that's what I want. Now I'm going to highlight this row in yellow because I want to sort this column now so it shows me where the average score lies within this data set, and I can get a sense of how many scores are above and below the mean that way. And so to do that, it's very easy. I need to just go up to row average and back up to data and click on filter. And because it's a table, it will filter everything together, all the columns at once. So I will go from smallest to largest. And you can see that it has, in fact, moved that column average up into the table just like this. And so now we get a sense of what this average of average happens to be. And we can look across at you know, what scores make that average up. Now, if I want to sort that column any differently, like if I wanted it based on this average for the rubric item, then I would have to resort it based on that one. And you can see that it has moved the column. Oops, that is yeah, for the rubric score. And the same thing would happen for the rest if I were to sort the from smallest to largest for the survey item, for example. And so you're not going to get, anyway, I just want to use the row average as my smallest to largest, just like this. Now I can, if I mention this, if you need to go back to where you were, it's very easy. You just go to the student ID number and sort from smallest to largest, and it puts everything back where it should be. And I find that to be useful sometimes. But let me go again from largest to smallest. And that's what we get. Let me show you a couple of other tricks that I find useful. Well, first of all, before I do that, let me just remind you that I'm going to highlight this whole table. I can't stand the color scheme in here, so I want to change that. I'm going to jump over to Table Design, And I'm going to use this down arrow right here to change that table to something a little less and less. Ooh, that's also terrible. I'll go ahead and use this one. I'll use that one, and so that way we just get a white background and things stand out a little bit better. I do find it useful sometimes to bold the important information, like these scores are very important. And so are the row average scores. Those are also important. So I'll bold those so that they stand out and I can get a better look at what's going on. Now, I want to keep that row average highlighted. And what I'm going to do next is go up here to conditional formatting. And I want to highlight the cells based on top and bottom rules. So I want the top 10% of the scores. So I'll select that. And I want it to be filled. I'm going to change the fill. Notice that you could change the percentage if you wanted the top 5 or bottom 5 or whatever. But I'm going to highlight the cells with the top rank with a green fill with dark green text. I tend to like that. So I went ahead and I did that. And that's what we have. So based on this top 10, this is what I get. And next thing that I'd like to do in that column right there is I want to do conditional formatting, and this time I want the bottom 10%, and so I'll select that, and that gives me the bottom 10%. And I'm going to keep it with light red fill and red text. Now I want everything to be uniform, so I select all of these items in here. I just want to select all the way across because I want to turn everything green in there. That way I know, that it all belongs to one. These records are what are giving me the top 10 percent. And here, if I scroll all the way across, this is what's giving me my bottom 10%. And I can click on, I used good, and now this is bad. So now I've got that Pepto-Bismol pink in here to make things stand out a little bit. All right, so what can we do? What's the next thing that we can do? Well, we see where the average, what the average column is here, and we've got what Excel is telling us are our top 10 scores, and over here what our bottom 10% scores happen to be. The next thing that I want to do is this. I want to put in an extra column here. So I want to insert a column to the right. That's where I want to put it. So on a PC, it's a right-click, column to the right. On a Mac, I think you'll have to highlight the whole column and go up to Insert and Insert Sheet Columns, just like this. And you'll have to move the data back over again, unfortunately, and change the name. And like somebody I'm saying, you should enable right clicks on the Mac. And if you go into your settings on the Mac, that little gear, and go to mouse, you can see where you can enable right clicks, and it will work. Google too, will also work if I'm wrong. But I want to put in a table column to the right, and here's what I'm going to do next. Now I've got this blank column here. I'm going to right click on it, and in fact, why don't I bump this over a little bit so we can see it a little better. I'm going to rename this as Sparklines. And I want to show you how to generate Sparklines. And these are actually kind of fun. And to do so, I just highlight the cell, the blank cell, and I'm going to go to Insert. And once I'm on Insert, I'm going to look for the item that says Sparklines. And if I you follow my mouse as I'm going all the way over here, getting closer, it's this group right here that is actually called Sparklines. So it's easy to find. So I want to make sure I'm on that cell. And I'm going to select the line, Sparkline. And now it's going to ask me for my data range. I click on this, and I'll just go backwards like this to right up to rubric 1. I'm not going to include the row average, which is not necessary for the Sparkline. But here, this will give you a sense now of what these scores look like. And I think I showed you this when we started, that you can see how the scores track. So you've got 7, and then it goes up, up, up. These are plateaus, and then it goes down drastically to 5, and then back up to 8. Top of the scale, big drop, rise, rise, and a bit of a drop. So if you look at the spark line right here, you can get a sense of how the scores track. There are some deficits in some areas that rise, but for the most part, it looks like there's a nice plateau all the way across on somewhere between 7 and 8, and it looks, well, from the row average, it is 7.33. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag this spark line all the way down, and it will give me an idea then of what all of these, how all of these scores track. And in this one here, this is my column average. And so I can get a sense of what that looks like for, an average score. And it'll just give me some information about what's going on with my class and with my students. I don't want green on here, and so I'm going to highlight all of these and jump back to fill, and I'm going to unfill everything, and I can just leave it alone. I think if I highlight that cell yellow, it's going to turn everything yellow, I think. Let's see if I'm correct or not. And no, I was wrong. Hey, that happens frequently, as we know. So again, we have a table now that is somewhat useful. We have an idea of the column averages and the spark lines in the top 10%, bottom 10% according to Excel, and the average score, which is an average of all of these averages, which is a bit ridiculous, but it's just for descriptive purposes, right? Right. Now what I would like to do is to generate some of the descriptive statistics for this table. And what I'll do is select this column and do that all the way over to survey single, well, number 6, all the way across, right? Right. Go up to where it says data, and remember, way over here, you should have added the data analysis pack. If you didn't, go back to, I think it's video number 2, where I do that. But select data analysis, let it load up, and what we're going to select on this will be descriptive statistics. And we'll click on OK. And the input range, I guess it looks like I'm going to have to select this this table. I shouldn't have to do that though. Let me cancel that and cancel this and try this again. What I want to do is I want to use the all of the utility of Excel, right? I spent time doing it, so I want to do it, right? Right. Table design, go to the table name, and I'm going to copy the table name. Once I've copied the table name, now I want to go to data again, data analysis, descriptive statistics, OK, and I'll paste in that name, and hopefully it'll find it. Yes, there are labels in the first row. I'm going to go ahead and have a new worksheet created, and I'll call that stats. And I'm going to grab the summary statistics, confidence interval, and I really don't do much with these two items here, so I'm going to leave them unselected in this case. And I'll click on OK, and input range contains non-numeric data. All right, well, let's see what the problem is then. This doesn't always do the trick, especially when you run into errors like that. And this is often what the case is. I'll show you. If it'll just let me out of this thing. And here we go. All right. What's it complaining about? It's complaining about this column right here. Anytime it runs into text, it's going to, well, that's probably not the case at all. All of these things should be, oh, here's the average formula that goes all the way across. This is the offending row in the data. So just so that you understand, it wasn't doing the calculations, because if you look all the way across, these are formulas. They're not rendering as numbers. Here's how you fix that. You have to select across the table like this, and then you copy, and then you have to paste as values. That will get rid of the formulas for you, just like this. Now watch. When I reselect these items again, and I go to data, which I'm already on, data analysis, descriptive statistics, and I click on OK, I still have my, I have my input ranges selected. My new worksheet, labels in the first row, blah, 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 summary statistics, confidence interval, and I click on OK. Input range contains non-numeric data again. I don't understand why. Okay, well, all right. And I got to get out of this, since this is why these videos take me forever. If you're wondering what I'm doing, usually swearing a lot when you don't see me. But anyway, let's select the upper left-hand corner, turn off the filtering. And I'm going to highlight this whole gosh darn table just like this. And I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to right-click, paste values. And the next thing I'm going to do, so this thing doesn't drive me nuts, is I'm going to change this general to numerical, to number. And now that's going to give me all of these numbers in here. Now, my friends, there's no reason why this thing should not work. And I'm going to highlight the data all the way from, well, I can go ahead and highlight all the way from R1 all the way over to the bottom corner, selecting all of the rubric and survey items again. Data, data analysis, descriptive statistics, everything's still selected, labels in first row, okay. I don't know what I'm going to do. This thing's just going to drive me absolutely up a, up a rope. All right, now I know what's wrong. I know what's wrong now. Okay. It's running into column average. That's what the problem is. This thing right here, it doesn't like it. So here's what we're going to need to do, my friends. I'm actually going to have to select the data myself. So I'm going to do so right now. It's this up arrow right there. I'm going to take that up arrow and I'm going to select down and over. Now I've only selected numerical data, as you see in here. That's from D1, which is this cell, all the way down to O31, which is that one right there. And now this thing will work. I've selected it. I click on that down arrow again. Got my labels in the first row. Everything else is the same. I click on OK, and presto! Finally, it worked. I'm going to highlight all these columns all the way across, and I should be able to just bump that over. If you didn't see how I did that, what I did is I highlighted the whole thing and I just moved the width over, and it opens the width up for all of the columns here. Let me reduce the size of this so we can get a sense of how big this table is. And well, it's not small, that's for sure. I want to show you what I did in the original table, which was the following. I highlighted all the way across, and I'm going to cut that data, and I'm going to paste it in again so it moves everything over one. And now my rubric numerical values are here, my survey numerical values are there, etc. And what I'm going to do again up here is I'm going to type in statistic. And so now I've got my statistic in there. I'll delete out this column right here, and that's what I feel like doing, so I did. And now what I need to do is the only column I want to retain that has this, the statistical information is this one. I don't need that one, or that one, or that one, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, that one, that one, or that one, or that one. So I'm just going to delete them, and out they go. You have to be really careful when you do that, especially if you've got a ton of columns in there. So let me show you another trick, just in case you ever have to deal with a lot of information that needs to be deleting these things is what I'm saying. Let me show you how to do that. What you do is you highlight that whole statistics table just like this. And then you're going to copy it. And then what I like to do is create a new sheet, and I'll paste it into the new sheet. But to do so this time, I'm going to just click on the down arrow for paste. And I'd like you to see where it says transpose. I want to transpose that information. And I want to show you why I'm transposing it. I'm transposing it because That way I have the table arranged in a different way, and it makes it just so much easier for me to get rid of information that I don't need. And to do that, I will create a table out of this. And so I will go to Insert, and I'm going to insert a table. And the table does have headers. They're right here. And here's what I want to do. I'm going to retain all of these headers, but I'm going to go through and just highlight or check off mean. And now you see how it's got all of that information that I want to delete already ready for me. And all I have to do is just delete uh, entire sheet rows, and they're gone. Now let me show you that again, just in case you ever have to do this. What I did to begin with is just get back to where I was. I copied this entire table out. I went to a new sheet, and I'm going to call this something in a moment, just so it sinks in. And I'm going to go ahead and paste all that information in, and so I'll just paste the values to make it easy. I'll rename this Transpose. And that is not what I wanted to do, actually. But I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to copy this table again, all right? And it's selected, so I'm going to copy it again. And I'll go down about 2 rows right here, and I want to paste. But this time what I want to do is paste special. And I want to transpose the information. So what that does is it turns it on its side so that this column right here becomes the row headers. See? And all of the information is beneath it. I want to turn this into a table, and I'll do that right now. I'm going to insert table. And your table, yes, it does have headers. And I think I'll go ahead and delete out all of that information above. And I'll just highlight from the blank space all the way to the top. And it's a right click and a delete, or you can cut it, I suppose, if you want to, or it's the delete key on your keyboard, but then you're stuck with all of these blank rows in here. That's why I certainly prefer the right click delete, if that'll allow me to do so. And there you go. That's why I suggest you Mac users enable right click delete. Anywho, I can go to this column mean and filter on it. So I click on the down arrow, and I don't want to select all. So I'm going to unselect everything except for mean. And now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and delete out all of these rows here. I can just highlight down. I want to retain the top row clearly, but I'm going to get rid of these rows and that row too. I don't know why it stayed. Let me see if there's anything else that's going on in here. So I click on that down arrow. It doesn't look like it. So now I do want to select all, and I just want to eyeball this a little bit, see what's going on. All right, that's getting better. It really is. I'll move that over just a little bit so I can see my items. What I think I'll go ahead and do next is this. I think I will just change the number of decimals that I see in there, and I'm going to reduce them. I want them to go down to 2 decimal places, just like I did here. So everything's at 2 decimal places, as you can see. Now, all I have to do next is highlight this table again, and I'm going to copy it. I'll go down a couple of rows here, and I will paste. This time I'm going to transpose this information again, and that transpose should be in here somewhere. If you don't see it, I've highlighted the table, and what I go down to is paste space special. What I'm looking for is the transpose function. Well, okay, it's not showing up. Let me try to figure out why. I'm going to select this table just as I've done here, and let me turn off the filtering. Sometimes that interferes with what you try to do. So I'm going to just highlight the table. I'm going to copy it, right click, and paste special, and Yeah, I'm not getting transpose again. All right, so here's why. It's because it's already in a table and you can't transpose a table. Like, let me go back over to stats. You see how this thing's selected right here? It is not a formal table. This is just columns and rows of data and text. That's all it is. So when I brought it over to this page and I pasted it in and I turned it into a table and I deleted all that stuff, well, guess what we get to do? We get to do the following. We get to convert this back to text. And to do so, we have to convert the table to a range. So here's how you do that. You select on Design Table, and you go to Convert to Range. And yeah, I want to convert it to a normal range. And this is now converted it back to a text table. It is no longer a table. This is all just text. In the same way that this is just text and data, this is just text and data. It's no longer a table. If I want it to be a table again, I'd have to create one, and I don't want to do that. So I've selected out this converted table, which is now text. I need to make sure that I have, in fact, done that. I'll try from the Home tab, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come down here to 18, and this time I'm going to click on Paste, and now I get my transpose function back. Fantastic. So I'm going to click on it, and here we go. We're back to where we started. Now, let's clean this up a little bit. I want to delete out these blank rows in here, and I want to delete out this blank row, and so we're back to where we started. I don't like any of these random lines and stuff in here. I don't like the color of this table. I don't like really anything about it, to be honest with you, except that it works. So I'm going to select No Fill, and notice that all my terms disappeared in here. You see that? Well, it's because the text was white. You see that? So let me just show you that again in case you missed it. This is all white text. So I'm going to select that column, go up to here, and make sure that I select black text. I'll do the same thing for these column items right here, and I'll make those black too, but bold. I'd like those to be bold. I'll select this entire thingy right here, and I just want to get rid of the fill color, so no fill color. The other thing that I'd like to do with this thing is I don't want any rows in there, no borders. I'm going to just turn off the borders. And this might look a little unhappy for the moment, but let's continue cleaning it up. Align the data to the top of the cells so that it's like this. You know, it's not in the middle, it's not down below, it's right at the top. And I would do that, make sure you've done that for all of them. So select all of the items and bump it up to the top and center it. I don't like having this one centered, however, just the data in the columns, not the statistic column. So I'm going to put that back at the left. I'm going to move that row back up just so that you can see what's going on. I'm going to highlight this whole table now, and I think I will convert this back to a table. Why not? And I'm going to call this table stats. And so to do so, I just remember what I did. I selected all these items. I go to Insert, Table, and my table has headers. Now I got a table back. I don't like the design of this so much, so I want to find a design that's that I don't hate. And let's see what it's behaving strangely. It's not going to do banded rows for me for whatever reason. Whatever. I guess that I'll just have to live with this table as it is. Data, I'm going to just unfilter this and bring this back over to copy. And I want to go back to our instead of going back to our stats table, I want to go to our join table right here. And I'd like to, right beneath this table, I would like to paste that in. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste in the values. Now the problem, as I see it, is this. It doesn't line up perfectly because I've got this darn period column in here. Now I can either delete it from this table, in order to get it to line up with this. Now remember, this is a table down here, remember, right? And this is a table up above. And I can prove that to you by clicking on clicking on nothing apparently, and let me go to data and insert again. I'm going to insert a table. My table has headers. Yes, it does. Okay, now it worked. This is very strange. Sometimes Excel just behaves strangely. If you didn't get everything that just happened in there, I could scream, but this is what it's like working with Excel, even if you're an advanced novice like I am. But anyway, I don't like the design of this table. I'm going to click on this and make it look like the one up above. I don't like the long decimals. I want just 2, so I'll go back to home. And I'm going to reduce the number of decimals that are in there. It looks like I'm not going to be doing anything of the kind. I guess I just have to select the column. So don't select the headers, just select the numerical values and change them as you see me changing them here down to 2 decimal places. And now everybody's marginally happy, I suppose. Once that has been done, the next thing that we can do is this, because this is a table, as I told you. Now it is finally, and this is a table. I can just highlight this column right here called period, and I can hide it. I should be able to hide that column. And yeah, I can't hide the column. All right, well, in that case, then we got to keep it because it won't allow you to hide the column. So fine. What I'll need to do then is select this column right here, and I will go up here and click on Insert, and I want to insert a column. And it won't work because it could move cells in a table or a row on your worksheet. I could really just jump off of something at this point. And I can't go through re-recording this thing. It's so late. In terms of the evening, and late, I should have done this a long time ago. So look, let's highlight this whole darn table and let's just cut the thing. Let's go back to transpose. Let's go back to the transpose sheet, Control V, and paste that stupid table back in. I'm going to delete everything above, deleting the whole thing so that I just have my stupid table in there. I'm going to select that item right there, and I'm going to click on Insert, and I want to insert a column. That's all I wanted to do. And for this column, I'm just going to call it empty, because I'll call it other stuff if I don't call it empty. Now, if you're wondering why that I had to do that, let me go back to our table right here. It's because when I had that stats table here and I tried to hide this column, it would have screwed up the table below it by hiding it. Or when I try to insert that column on this table, it just didn't work. So sometimes you got to just drop things on other sheets and manipulate them. And I'm just showing you the reality of Excel. But let me copy this thing back. I'll click on copy and go to rubric join, and I'll drop it in right about here. You could drop it in there, just not in the table. Not right below it either, because it'll unite everything, and you don't want to do that. So I'll just give it some space and paste it back in. And now at least you can scroll up on this thing, and you can get your, your statistical data here for each one of your the rubric elements. And this doesn't line up at all. You got to keep track of stuff, everybody, and I'm doing a terrible job of that. So period is here. The row average, I didn't take an average of that. I didn't do any stats on that. And since I didn't do any stats on it, I've got, an extra, my columns are not lining up. This needs to be moved over to here. So, my friends, once again, let's go ahead and delete out this table of stats, because I know that I've got it there. So I'm just going to delete this darn thing, and away it goes. Go back to your transpose sheet, And I'll go ahead and insert a column to the left. And I don't have to have names in there, I don't think. Or I can do this. I can get really clever. And since they're empty columns, I'll just turn the text black, and then they disappear, even though they're still there. And what does this achieve? It achieves me getting closer to being able to go to bed. If you ever get any like highlighting in there that you don't want, it's because you've got some kind of conditional formatting on. And just go up to conditional formatting, clear the rules from this entire table, and it'll disappear. And I can show you why that's happening in a moment. So finally, I'm going to copy this darn thing out, and I'm closer to going to bed finally. And I'll select that cell. And I'm going to paste it in just like this. And now everybody's happy. Now everything aligns, see? I do have to center this stuff up a little better, which is what I'm going to do, which is what I just did. And now it centers up, and I get my medians, modes, and everything else that is actually useful for my little table here. Now, plotting a chart is a little more complicated than I had alleged it to be, but it's not impossible. All right, it's really pretty simple. The most important thing that you do is that you generate your statistics table, and you have it set up so it looks like this. Now, here's what we're going to do. To do a really simple bar chart, I just want to take the top row. I'm going to highlight that and the means. All I want are the means. I don't want anything other than the means. So I want the column headers and the means right here. And this time I'm going to go up to insert, and I want to insert a bar chart. And so I will click on insert bar chart, and this is going to give me a look at what the averages were for each one of those rubric scores. It's just easier to do it that way. And so I will double click on the chart title, as you see here, and I will just say bar chart of rubric and survey means. I'm really tired of doing this, and so you can double click on it or highlight the text all the way across and bold it, which is often a good idea. And these are the legend down below is just taking what the row headers are up here, so you can change them, and you probably regenerate the table if you need to have more meaningful legend items here, but I'm just going to leave it alone for right now. One thing that's sort of a standard in table land, and you don't have to do this, is to try to select just the lines here and delete them out, so that you've got a chart that looks like this. Again, you don't have to do that, but that's kind of what that is what most people do when they are working with these tables. And you can resize it by grabbing the edge of it and moving it around and stuff. I want to do a little bit of design on this, so I just click on this this part of the table, and I want to add a chart element way up here. And I want to put in data labels, and I want the data labels to be on the outside end, and that's going to tell me what the means are so that I can look at them. Another thing that I want to do in here is this. All of the odd numbers are my rubric scores, and so this column right here, I want to change the fill color of this, and I'm way over here on the side. I don't care about the border. I care about the fill. And so why don't I just keep it easy, and I'll keep the fill color blue. And so I'll select blue. Great. This is another rubric item. I know that because it's aligned underneath the rubric, and I'm going to select blue for that one. And I'm going to turn this one blue too, because it's an odd column. This one I want to be blue. And I'm just selecting the blue that's in the topmost column just to keep it easy. I'm just going over here to column, to theme colors, and changing it to blue. And this one is also blue. And I want to change the color of this one. And these are my survey items. So the even numbers are the are the even numbered columns, 2, 4, 6, etc. If I select this, I'm going to change this one to a red color. Why not? Or a dark red. We'll change it to dark red. And so I'll do that for all of these. I'm just going to keep selecting dark red for the even numbered items so that I'm able to tell immediately which ones are the survey items and which ones happen to be the rubric items. And it looks kind of, we just had an election. Don't know when you're watching this, but there are my kind of my red, white, and blue. Who cares? All right. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to leave it alone. This is as far as I'm going to get with this thing, my dear friends. And we've done, well, almost everything that I wanted to do. I still have one more thing to do, and that's to explain kurtosis to you. But look, you've got a bar chart of your rubric and survey means, so you can do a little bit of a comparison between the rubric and the survey scores in there. That's why that's just fantastic. And you can see on some of these things, there's plenty to talk about. That in this one here, the rubric scores were much lower than the student self-assessment of their ability on whatever that rubric element is. And, that could, why do students rate themselves higher than what you, the teacher, rated their production to be? So there's some discrepancy between what students think they can do and what they can actually do. But look at this one. Rubric item 3, you scored them higher by and large. However, the mean for the class is lower on their assessment of their own ability to do something. Here they're more realistic. You and the students are, pretty even in your rating. Not so good for most of the class, not so good according to most of the students. So there's all kinds of things that you can discuss in here, and one thing that we can't do with this chart is do a line graph to see what happens over time from period 1 to period 2 to period 3, for example. And that's because we're only dealing with one period in here, and one scoring period, as you see right here. When we have more, then we can do more. But again, I digress just a little bit. We created a table of statistics, and I talked about skew and the average, and perhaps I should highlight those columns of what we discussed. I talked about the mean. I talked about skew. I talked about median and mode, the middle number, the most frequently occurring number. And I talked about standard deviation and its relationship to the normal curve. Let me just do what I promised to do, which was to explain kurtosis to you. So I think I can use this sheet to do it a little bit better because I've got some space to do so. So I just want to highlight kurtosis. I want to show you what kurtosis looks like. So let me grab these two images, jump back over to transpose, and I will paste them back in. And let's just use these as an example of kurtosis. Ideally, what you want is, values as close to 0 as possible, but between -1 and +1 is considered to be okay in terms of kurtosis. But for the most part, you really don't want to have any. You don't want your data to be too skewed. You don't want to be too kurtotic for this reason. If it's too skewed and too kurtotic, then you can't talk about the standard deviation above and below the mean, or 2 standard deviations above and below, or any of that stuff, because then your data are not normally distributed. If the value is negative, like -129 here, that means in negative land, it's platykurtic. The data are like weirdly, oddly shaped, like the back of a platypus, I guess, is what we would call it. And if the value is if it's 0, then you've got nice normal distribution. You've got something that approaches this. So long as your data are not skewed, or mean, median, and mode are the same, and your skewness is close to 0, not negative, not positive, then you're good. Then you've got a mesokurtic normal distribution. Leptokurtic is where everything is just bunched up around the mean, too bunched up. So if I were looking across here, I don't see anything that is coming out as positive in here. But if there were any positive values, like if this were positive 129 instead of negative 129, then the data would be all bunched up around the mean. That would mean that your average score, let me see if I can get a line in here, that your average score, which would be, you know, something like this. Let me see if I can just make that arrow the weight a little heavier so you can see it. Let's say your average score in a leptokurtic distribution that's too peaked, too kurtotic, they're just too bunched up around the means. And what that means then is that your data, you can't make claims about it. You know, this being 99, you can't talk about standard deviations this way anymore because either it's too blunt and you've got too many scores that are too far, too widely distributed from the mean in order for you to talk about the shape of a normal distribution and to talk about you know, standard deviations that are meaningful, or they're too bunched up around the mean like this. And then you cannot talk about what is captured in 99.7%, 95%, in 2 standard deviations above and below, or 1 standard deviation above and below, or you just can't make any of these claims or to discuss them in terms of a normal distribution. So that's what that means. Let me go back up to our stats table. A lot of this is important for running statistical tests, higher level statistical tests. That's not the subject of discussion for today, but determining if your data are normally distributed and determining the level of skew and kurtosis is all important for doing meaningful comparisons or doing particular kinds of correlations. So in the next video, when I get around to making it, that's what I'm going to discuss with you, is how to run some correlations. But for tonight, I just want to leave this this bar chart up because it took me forever to figure out how to create it. Hope you found that at least entertaining. If it's too confusing, then I'll have to re-record this, but just humor me and say it was great.